Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. I enjoy seeing where our viewers are from, so I would like to invite you to post the flag of your nation, state, or province in the comments section of this video. Today's episode takes us to the small town of Island Park, Idaho. The geography of this area is rolling hills covered in dense stands of pine, fir, and spruce trees, split by undulating waves of grasses and sagebrush. The elevation here is over 7,000 feet, and the winters are extremely cold with frequent accumulations of snow. The summers are nearly always hot and dry, creating a season of feast and famine for all animals in the area. There are plenty of berry bushes here, and along any given body of water you will see dense pockets of willow. Yellowstone National Park is only a stone's throw away, so there's always a constant ebbing and flowing of moose, deer, and elk based on seasonal demand. The predators of this area are a murderer's row of deadly and cunning carnivores. Wolves, cougars, coyotes, and bobcats, along with black bears, are seen regularly, but the most dangerous of predators, the grizzlies, are much more elusive and stealthy than the others. Island Park is located near Henry's Fork, which is a tributary of the Snake River. It is a world-class fly fishing destination for the beautiful rainbow trout that populate the streams here. The Continental Divide is a few miles north of the town and divides the waters flowing west into the Columbia River system and the east flowing into the Mississippi River system. This very rugged and remote area is a hotbed of grizzly and human conflicts, which are beginning to come to a head. In the early morning hours of Thursday, September 23, 2021, two archery hunters, whom we will call Tom and Don, were pursuing elk near Stamp Meadows. The heavily timbered hills give way to broad meadows of grass, on which bull elk strut to put on a show to attract cows who are ready to breed. Elk are grazers, which means they eat grass, as opposed to being browsers like deer and moose. Browsers dine on the shoots, leaves, and stems of various bushes and trees. The growth of grasses in Stamp Meadows make it a prime habitat for elk during a time of year that is demanding for them. As Tom and Don stalked their way along the edge of the meadow, they kept a wary eye out for grizzly bear sign. Tracks are far too common in this area, so seeing them isn't necessarily proof of a grizzly being in the immediate area. Given the bear's tendency to travel many miles in a given day, once you see a track, even if it's fresh, it isn't always correct to assume the grizzly is still nearby. Other forms of evidence of grizzly bear activity, like seeing stumps torn apart or anthills that have been dug up along with the grizzly bear tracks nearby, are a harbinger that grizzlies regularly seek food in this area. When they find a reliable location for food, grizzlies are known to frequently return on a regular pattern in search of more. As the archery hunters paralleled the tree line, they unknowingly walked within several yards of a hungry and very territorial sow grizzly bear, who took defending her cubs from any perceived threat very seriously. Don was armed with a 10mm semi-automatic pistol, and Tom carried a primed can of bear spray for protection. As the hunters encroached on the sow's hiding spot, which was a thick stand of low-growing jack pines, she sprang upon the men in a lightning-quick ambush. The sow emerged from cover only a few yards from the hunters and quickly closed the short distance in what seemed like an instant. Even though both men were completely surprised by the ambush, the knowledge of being in grizzly bear territory had them mentally prepared to defend themselves. Don immediately reached his hand toward his pistol, while Tom wrapped his hands around his bear spray canister. By the time the sow had approached to within 10 yards, Don began firing his pistol. As he heard his partner's shots ring out, Tom flicked the safety cap from the top of his bear spray canister and let loose that hellish orange cloud of billowing burning. As the sow was impacted by the bullets of Don's pistol, she was likely momentarily confused by the presence of two targets. The fact that bear spray was correctly dispensed didn't help her cause, as the noxious cloud began to irritate her eyes and nose. Her lungs filled with the burning concoction, and her breathing was replaced with coughs and gagging. Had the temperatures been lower, the propellant qualities of the bear spray canister would likely have rendered the irritant non-functional and ineffective. Don's accuracy must have been lethal, because the bullets fired from his pistol took their toll on the sow. After having several 10-millimeter sized holes punched through vital areas of her anatomy, the sow breathed her last and gave up her grizzly ghost. As the pistol shots stopped echoing through the valley, Dawn and Tom could see 2 grizzly bear cubs scampering through the brush. Now without their mother and sole protector, they did the only thing they knew to do, and bolted for cover. The cubs' mother had taught them well in her brief time with them, but now, without her, their future would be bleak, if not unsustainable. Tom and Dawn knew that the events that had transpired would be analyzed, critiqued, and questioned by well-intending state and federal investigators. It was a good thing for the archery hunters that the terrain in this area was rolling as opposed to being steep. This allowed them to reach out to game wardens via their cell phones and request that they hear the details of the run-in with the sow and her cubs. Wardens from the Idaho Fish and Game arrived on the scene around 8:30 a.m., immediately followed by federal wardens. Tom and Dawn explained the details of the incident and made sure to pass on that the sow's 2 cubs were still out there. During their investigation of the archery hunters' claims pertaining to the attack, federal and state agencies clearly acknowledged that this grizzly sow was killed in self-defense. They also initiated a broad and comprehensive search for the orphaned cubs. The fact that the government wardens initiated a search is proof that the cubs must have been born this past spring. If they were from the prior spring, it would have been assumed that they may have been able to make it through the winter on their own, and likely too wary of humans to be easily caught. If they were found before a Boer Grizz found them, they could be safely captured and transported to the Island Park Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center. Orphaned grizzly cubs are raised in safe and secure enclosures at this facility and serve as a real-life example for visitors to learn about grizzlies. Although the search didn't find the cubs, the investigation found that Dawn and Tom did not violate any state or national laws. They were found to have acted solely in self-defense and were not charged with any crimes, nor were they cited for any violations. Tom and Dawn's grizzly attack is not the only incident in Stamps Meadows between grizzlies and humans in recent years. On July 9, 2021, a trail runner from Maryland was jogging when he ran into a sow and her cub. She knocked him to the ground and bit him several times before dashing back into the brush with her cub. The runner sought and received medical help from Madison Memorial Hospital in nearby Rexburg, Idaho. Later that same month, a man was mountain biking past Stamp Meadows. As he sped down the trail, a sow grizzly and her cub charged at him as he passed a clump of brush. Fortunately, he was going too fast for the bears to catch up with him, and he got away without an injury. As a follow-up to the previously mentioned confrontations, on the evening of September 1, 2023, 2 archery hunters were sneaking through the dense brush just west of Island Park Reservoir. Both of the bow hunters were armed with pistols and managed to pull them out before a giant grizzly boar could close the distance between them. They fired several shots into the massive mauler and introduced him to his angels before he could harm either of them. They called into the Fremont County Dispatch to file a report relaying the facts surrounding their altercation with the big and angry Grizz. Following the thorough investigation, the archery hunters were found to have acted in self-defense and were not charged with any infractions. If you remember a few episodes prior to this one, I mentioned that both of my teenage sons drew bull moose tags in the hunting unit that includes Island Park. I commented on how we'd seen no moose, bulls or cows, in over 3 weeks of hunting in 3 different months. We did, however, see a multitude of grizzly bear tracks, and even followed a grizzly bear from an uncomfortable distance of only 150 yards for over 20 minutes. I mention this because it is apparent through my own experiences in this area that not only are the grizzlies here aggressive toward people, but they're currently overburdening their habitat's carrying capacity. When a visitor can find grizzly bears roaming between 2 highways in broad daylight, the way my sons and I did, then they are clearly being mismanaged. This trend line can only lead to more attacks and deaths on both sides of each species. After reviewing the short list of incidents involving hostile grizzlies and human beings, it is clear that the aggressive grizzly bears near Island Park, Idaho, take exception to the presence of people being near their cubs, food caches, and their territory, more than any other grizzly population in the world. What could possibly be making this population of grizzlies so defensive or offensive to human presence? After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I have a few questions for you. Do you think there is an environmental factor that causes grizzlies around Island Park to be more hostile toward the presence of humans? If salmon migrations were reestablished, would this reduce human and grizzly confrontations? Is the lack of management, including hunting seasons or hazing seasons, creating an untenable and dangerous situation around Island Park, Idaho? Would you consider it worth the risk to catch a giant rainbow trout in the Henry's Fork and possibly be attacked by a grizzly who didn't appreciate your penchant for fly fishing? I will enjoy reading and responding to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below and let's talk about it. Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.